Hey guys, welcome back. Today's episode is going to be a discussion on culture and how it's affected marriage and divorce and what we're seeing happening. So stick around and let's jump in.
So we're discussing marriage and divorce today. And as you may have noticed, there's a lot of brokenness, a lot of hurt going on in our culture, in our families, and in our marriages. And since our mission in Disrupt the Pattern is to reset the norm for marriages and families, we want to talk about what we feel the norm is like and what's becoming our current culture's norm, because marriage has become a testing ground or like experiments for finding love. And so if you don't like what you get with the first experiment, you just try some others. So.
Right. But we do want to be clear, like we're not here to judge or say that people who have gotten divorced should be shamed or they're terrible people, because as it stands, we all have our downfalls. We all have our skeletons in the closet and issues. And that goes for marriages across the board. So we're not here to talk about whether divorce is justified either by biblical terms, because that's a whole nother discussion in itself again. But we're more just focusing on how culture is feeding into struggles in marriages and divorce and it happening. So we don't feel like that should be going on, that it's just becoming an accepted thing, like it's just the norm.
Especially in the church and in Christian marriages, as that goes.
Right.
So culture has kind of made wedding vows and marriage and all of that into just something disposable, which kind of everything in our culture is disposable nowadays. If you don't like it, you throw it away, you get something else. So it's kind of like the whole, if it doesn't work out, there's more fish in the sea. You just got to find a better one. Or falling in and out of love, which falling is like kind of an interesting choice of words for that. Right. But anyway.
Well, and I feel like we've gotten to where we have like a sense of entitlement, like, well, we deserve better, right? Like, or like they're not even worthy of us. And we start feeling, we start to feel that the highlight reels of other people that we see and what they do, like we deserve that. Like we should have somebody that does that for us. And it's, we should know it's just their highlight reel. It's not like it actually
Thank you, Facebook.
Right. It's not like it's actually reality. And a lot of the time, like not a lot of the times, but some of the times it's those exact people that you see, like suddenly their status is changed to single, separate, like I'm like, okay, what happened there? Right. You thought so. We can't base our own marriages on what we see of other people's marriages.
Another thing you always think is that maybe the grass is greener on the other side. Like if I could just be married to that person, it'd be so much better than what I have now, because they aren't like this. So we won't have that conflict. But guess what? As long as a man and a woman are involved, there's going to be conflict. And it doesn't matter if it's the same conflict, there still will be conflict.
Right. Like, because like the grass is greener. Well, there might be patches of lush grass in those areas, like that maybe there isn't in your current marriage, but there's definitely going to be some desert patches in areas that are going well in your marriage, but you just don't see them at the time because you go into that mode of like, I don't know, you just have rose-colored glasses, right, to what other people would be like and what other marriages are like. So
we want to spend a little time talking about what we mean by the marriage covenant and why that's important to Christian marriages or marriages in general, really. A covenant is a lot more than just a promise. Like promise is thrown around a lot, but a covenant is much deeper, and it's a binding promise made before God that you're not going to separate and that you're going to stay together till death do us part. And that covenant was actually intended as a picture, right? A picture of something else, which is our relationship as the church with Christ. So we are Christ's bride in that picture. And so marriage is supposed to reflect that. And Ephesians 5:25 even says, husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her.
And I mean, and the Bible talks about like leaving your father and mother and be joined and to become one flesh, like man and woman become one flesh, man and
Yes.
woman, man and woman. So we really feel like the marriage covenant can be this really beautiful picture of selfless, sacrificial, and unconditional love that Christ has for the church that he wants for us in marriage as well. But like there are just so many divorces and heartaches and broken families in the culture in general. And like I said, even in the Christian culture, it's really starting to paint a picture of how we actually understand and accept Christ's love as that, because God intended us to love one another, forgive one another, be committed to one another without a backup plan, with no plan B. That's just what it is. And commitment isn't a popular word these days, right? Whether it's to marriage or church or even to a sports team, people can leave or stay based on what's being done for them or what works in their favor right now.
Yeah. What have you done for me now?
Right. But they don't remember like what's been done for them in the past. And, we can focus too heavily on the negative and what it feels like now and sometimes the past, like we brought up before, sometimes the past you are mixing things that don't even have to do with your marriage, and Satan wants that to happen too. He's mixing hurts and traumas and things that you've had from other people, and he's starting to taint your marriage with that. So
and also I think he tries to put blinders on you for what the future could even hold, because he doesn't want you to have any hope in that. He wants you to remain broken, and he wants to trash families and just hurt God's people. That's his ultimate goal.
So, I mean, if Christ would treat us like, okay, well, they're not doing what they should, and I'm tired of waiting on them. I'm tired of waiting for them to change and to treat me like I should be treated and things like that. Obviously, like, just that word picture. But I mean, we'd be out. We'd be on the curb. We'd be sleeping on the couch, right?
Yeah.
You want to talk to him about what Pastor Mark said?
Yeah. Pastor Mark, who pastors our church, has a saying that when he does marriage counseling or whatever, he'll say, it's not your love that sustains your marriage. It's your marriage that will sustain your love. So in saying that, it's like feelings come and go. They're going to be up, they're going to be down. Sometimes you feel like you love them more, and sometimes you feel like you love them less. But if you are true to that commitment that you make, and that vow means what it should mean, then you're devoted to that. And that will carry you through the times when maybe you don't feel like you're in love as much as you are at other times. So you want to talk about like what we were saying about culture and church and all that?
I mean, honestly, like what we said previously in this episode was that it's kind of becoming widely accepted that it just is happening. Like we have so many broken families in the church, outside of the church, people get divorced, and we just kind of, I don't know, like, what are we supposed to do about it? It is one of those things though, that, there's sin going on in people's lives all the time, every day, that you don't see. So divorce gets that really interesting
magnifying glass,
right? Yeah. Like spotlight, because you can't hide that. You can't hide that you're no longer together. And so I know that there have probably been some really like church hurt in divorce situations, because it was put on them, or it was just treated as though it was like a different type of sin or a different type of situation, when the same people, like I said, we all have things going on, and we still have sin in our lives. Not that we should be okay with that, but I really feel like as a whole, and especially in our church culture, that we need to focus more intensely on marriages and families. But like the family wouldn't be there without the marriage. So, more specifically on marriage, which is why we're doing this and why Disrupt the Pattern is around, because we want to start having those conversations. We want the spotlight to be off of divorce, because it seems like that's all we're focusing on, is just who's gotten divorced or who's not around anymore for the marriages, when we need to focus on the marriage now before it gets there, before it gets too far gone. So we have like women's groups and men's groups and youth groups and kids groups and adult Bible studies, but like we feel like we really need some focused groups and intention on marriage.
And I want to say too, like maybe you're in a marriage where you've been trying and trying and somebody else is not trying, and it's been going on for a long, long time, and you're really hurt and you're really struggling. It's totally fine for you to look for help. I mean, find a pastor that you trust, find a really good Christian counselor that can give you biblical advice on what maybe you need to do, because support is important no matter what point in that you are. If you have support and love rather than judgment, it's going to help you. And you can work on yourself if the other person's not ready to, and just get as close to God as you possibly can, because that's never going to hurt. I mean, even if the other person doesn't appreciate it, it's not going to hurt for you to get closer to God. So.
Right. And I mean, us talking, like, it sounds like it's an easy thing with, you just got to stay committed, like just grind it out till Jesus comes, because you just have to be there. You have to be together no matter what. And it's like, that's not an easy thing. We know, like you said, maybe it's been going on for years, that it's just been crappy and you've been trying, and you start wondering like, okay, God, like, when are you going to move? Right? Like, when are you, if marriages is that important, why isn't anything changing? And we start questioning that. But also to understand, like, God's timing is like our 100 years to a blink of an eye for him. So it's in the valley that he can sometimes speak even louder to you than he can on the mountaintops. It's in those times where he's trying to teach you and he's trying to draw you to him. So look at, okay, where are you at? Where are you at spiritually? What can you be doing for the marriage? Where have maybe, because we focus so heavily on the other person's faults and what they should be doing and what we deserve. But what do they deserve? Have I been the person that they deserve? Have I been the wife that they've always wanted and, have contributed to? So that being said, we're so glad you're here listening to us. We want to make an impact, and we hope that in listening and subscribing and being involved with us, that we can just, create a culture, a new culture, a disruptor culture, where people are like, okay, we're going to talk about it before it gets so bad that it's just done. And we're going to talk about it because it's important that the stigma is just gone, and we need to just be open about where we're struggling and get help for that and support each other and be there for each other. Right. So,
and other people, don't judge, love the people and try to give them support without, you shouldn't do that. Like, that's not going to help them in that situation.
Right. So keep sticking with us, subscribe, leave an honest review for us, and spread the word. Share this to your stories and socials so people can come on in here and join us. So thanks so much for being with us today, and we'll talk to you later.